Now, it's not like the Crusader's crossbow is a bad weapon by any means, it's actually amazing, but that's kind of the issue with it. It's too amazing. I've never been a fan of weapons that straight up obsolete their alternatives. Like for example, I love using the detonator, it's fun to blast itself around, and its offensive potential is good too. But then again, why use it when the scorch shot does all of this just without the skill needed? It's not a perfect example obviously, like the jump from the scorch shot is a fraction of the detonators, but the point still stands. The Crusader's crossbow invalidates so much, but so much more severely than the scorch shot does. Let me show you how. As a medic, you start off with a syringe gun. Now obviously it's bad, but that's actually a good thing, especially for newer players. It forces you to heal your teammates more often, which is what you're supposed to do as a medic, not diving headfirst into front lines like a lunatic. Even the upgrades from stock show this, as both the Blutsaga and Overdose perform significantly better as a retreating option than an offensive one, with the Overdose actually rewarding you for playing more passive with the added speed boost. The lesson these three teach you as a medic is very valuable and important if you want to be a useful medic. But then comes in the Crusader's crossbow and all of this kind of falls apart. You see, the syringe gun is a bad offensive tool because of its weird arced projectiles, poor projectile speed, and minimal damage output. The crossbow, however, is actually a good offensive tool. Its projectile is significantly faster, the projectile itself feels bigger, and it deals much more damage than the syringe guns do. This makes it a good attacking tool, which kind of contradicts the whole lesson that the syringe gun teach. Don't attack, just heal. So this just leaves the syringe gun in an awkward position, where their whole job is essentially worthless as soon as this thing is being used. It doesn't end here either. Not only is the crossbow a great offensive tool, it's amazing supportively too. Being able to snipe heal your teammates from halfway across the map is super useful in clutch situations, as well as giving medic a form of burst healing, which is especially useful if there's no dispensers or payload cart to rely on. Because of the amount of healing you do as a medic contributes to your scoreboard placement, using the crossbow can make you top score much easier, which incentivizes you to use it more often. Both of these features very easily make all three syringe guns look irrelevant, and downright bad in most instances, because why use those when you can use the crossbow, similarly to how people use the scorch shot over the detonator, or shotgun, or literally any other secondary. Stock weapons are generalist tools. They don't need specific circumstances to be effective, where unknockables like the direct hit or Scottish resistance work great in some instances, but poorly in others. However, the crossbow is widely seen as the generalist one, and the syringe guns are the situational ones, and only situational at best. To be honest, this might sound like a stretch, but I'd go as far to say that the crossbow is a direct upgrade to the stock syringe gun and the Blutsaga, as its DPS is more consistent, and the need for extra sustainability isn't needed as much if it can hit people from a much greater range. I wouldn't say it's a direct upgrade to the Overdose, because the speed boost can be useful in some instances, but I will say the crossbow is much better regardless. Now, this might sound a bit odd, but despite all of this, I would not be too happy if this thing was nerfed. I don't think anybody would be actually, medic main or not. It just feels right using this weapon. It makes the class more enjoyable to play as you're able to save more people far more easily, and the sniping capability this thing has can make for some awesome plays. It might technically be overpowered, but it's not like the Wrangler or Vaccinator where it feels unfun to fight against, or where it feels dirty to use. So the real problem is, how do we make the syringe guns not only viable options, but also keep the lesson they try to keep newer players? There are two ways I've chosen to approach this. One way is to buff the projectile speed, as this means you don't have to aim ahead as much as you normally would. This will make landing shots much easier and make the DPS of the syringe guns more consistent. The other option is to buff the projectile range, as this can reduce the fall off that the projectiles have. It also makes the weapon a decent mid to long range harassment tool, especially if you spam it into a choke point. As for the unknockables, the only thing I would change is to make the Overdose's speed boost passive, like the Candy Cane. The Blutsaga is fine though. If you want, you can try to suggest your own changes in the comment below, but remember what the syringe guns try to teach new players. But that's more my opinion really. I'm Sammy and I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like and subscribe, and if you didn't, my bad I guess.